Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the 808 podcast. Rules are very simple. Rule number one, 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. That's the only rule we have right now. That's pretty much it. Oh, rule number two, because I want to monetize, no cussing. We have to be good, but you can say damn it though. That is okay. I found out that's an acceptable word. So let's get right to it. So question number one, in a few sentences, tell me who you are and what do you do?
Hey, well, I'm Ken Bator. I run Bator Training and Consulting, and what I do is I help businesses create environments where their employees actually want to come to work, and their customers, clients, or members want to keep coming back, Bob.
Well, perfect. Love that there. So that's a great intro right there. So let's get to question number two. What advice do you want to share with other people in the B2B industry? Let's talk about that. Go.
Well, you know what? I could do 8 minutes, maybe even 80 minutes on this, but succinctly, one, especially in this times of COVID-19 or even post COVID-19, you need to align your brand culture and strategy, period. And so how do you do that? Well, yeah, that's a long discussion, but the number one tip I give anybody on podcasts and networking meetings, telephone, whatever it is, the number one tip, if you do this one thing, you'll at least be a little bit better than your competitors that don't do this, and that is create service standards. Now, if you want to know what a service standard is, I can give you a few examples. I think Subway has a 3-second rule, which means as soon as you walk in the door in 3 seconds, they're supposed to say, hey, how are you? They're supposed to greet you. Others are things of the nature of I will answer the phone within 2 rings. I will get back and solve all problems within 24 hours. Things of that nature that are very specific as to how service is at our business. So the best way to create that is if you have core values, look at your core values.
Mhm.
Then come up with what does this look like? Answer that question. If your core value is respect, answer, well, what does this look like at our business? And most importantly, please, 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 for the love of God, do this. Involve all of your people. I don't care if you're a 2-person shop or a 200-person shop. Find a way to get everybody involved, whether they're in IT, they're customer facing, they come in, once a week, to clean out garbage, whatever it is, get
Right.
everybody involved because then there's buy-in and then there's actual teeth and power to those service standards.
There is, and also I noticed you mentioned about those sales standards there. I used to go to Jimmy John's all the time because they would go in as soon as you walk in there, they go, "Hey, welcome to Jimmy John's." And it's funny, as soon as they stopped doing that, I know. And again, it wasn't one of those things I noticed. My Jimmy John's eating went down.
Yep.
So it
Well,
wasn't fun. Like you always that excitement of walking in the door, "Hey," and then it's gone.
yeah, well, it's about the experience.
Right.
Is my one of my shows, Branding the Experience, is all about that. And people don't sometimes understand, even the smartest leaders, that one little thing, like for you, that was the experience for Jimmy John's. It
Right.
wasn't just the sandwich. And when they got rid of that, it's like, I can get a freaking sandwich anywhere. I want to feel like, they know Bob when I
Right.
walk in and they're happy to
Exactly.
see
That
me.
word there. And that's why I switched to which was also better subs, but that's a whole nother
Yeah.
conversation there. So it really comes down to if you say, we're doing great customer service, and then basically you got to figure out what does that actually look like?
Hmm.
Because again, since we're talking fast food, great customer service at Subway is different than what Jimmy John's considers great customer service, or which, one of those things
Yeah.
there. So kind of deep dive deeper into what does that look like?
Well, it goes beyond just customer service because customer service is like being nice, being that great ma and pa
Right.
shop. I could go to the little grocery store where my grandmother used to live and get nice customer service. But what an experience is consistency,
Hmm.
and you hit it out of the ballpark with that Jimmy John's example that you came to expect that when you walk through the door that they were going to go, "Hey, welcome to Jimmy John's." That was part of the experience.
Right.
And they took that away. They didn't have the consistency to always have that. And those little things, whether it's the 3-second rule, the Jimmy John's thing, I'm going to always say my pleasure rather than you're welcome.
Hmm.
Those things that are consistently done go beyond just plain nice customer service and go to creating a consistent experience that sets you
Exactly.
apart.
100% agree with that there. Let's get to question number three.
Sure.
So, what other top CEOs and business owners in the B2B industry like yourself? would you like to acknowledge as a leader and should be a guest on my podcast?
Sean Douglas. He does Life Transformation Radio. He's a Navy veteran and a great entrepreneur. Worked with him for years. If I could only pick one, it would be Sean Douglas from Life Transformation Radio.
Perfect. I'll look up. I think I had Sean Douglas on one of the other podcasts I did there. So yeah, that name sounds familiar there.
Yep.
Now, number 4, final fun question. Kenneth, tell me about your first sale.
I'm going to tell you about my first significant sale. Yeah,
I'll allow it.
Because you can say, I sold, Girl Scout cookies or something. I actually didn't sell Girl Scout cookies, but you know where I'm going.
Right.
Yeah, my first significant sale was probably about 8 months into starting Bator Training and Consulting. It was in 2002, and I had done articles and all kinds of different things. And I got this call out of the blue from a CEO for a large organization in Maine. And it was about sales and mission statements and so forth. He says, yeah, I got a couple questions about mission and vision. And says, well, what if we did this and that and the other thing? I said, and I answered his questions as best I could. And he says, really? He says, what are you doing, X date, like 3 months from now? And I says, well, I think I'm free on those dates. He says, great. You're going to be our facilitator for our strategic planning session. We're going to be on this retreat. We're going to need you for 3 to 4 days. I'm also going to need you to be available for a board of directors meeting 2 weeks from now. Send us your quote and your contract, and we'll get this done. And certainly, happy to do it. Great talking to you. And hung up the phone. And the first thing I says, how in the hell do I do strategic planning?
Yeah, it is. Cart before the horse. A lot of people do that. So I 100% agree with you on that part there. So hey, Kenneth, we have 1 minute and 31 seconds left. So let's get some promo time in if you want it, or we can keep talking, whatever. I'm flexible.
I'm happy to answer any questions you have, Bob, but, especially when it comes to any of your listeners that are interested in that service standard suggestion that I made, I have an article on that. It walks you through creating service standards completely free. If you want to send me an email or find me on LinkedIn or any of that stuff, email is kbator, Bator, at btcinc.net. LinkedIn, just look for Kenneth Bator. I'm pretty easy to find. Send me a message, and I'm more than happy to share that article completely for free and get that to you so you can create service standards at your unique organization.
Awesome. I'll tell you one service standard our organization has. I mean, not the 808 podcast, but the company that I own there is we have a rule that if you call up a client and you say how long the conversation is going to be, it's going to be that long period.
Correct.
So it's funny. I had a client on, basically I said, hey, I need to have you on for 10 minutes because we need to set something up and that's it. In 3 minutes, it was done. Call there. He kept asking questions. I'm like, hey, I'm totally okay to answer your questions. I have time, but you have to acknowledge I said 10 minutes and it was only 3 minutes. He said, absolutely. And we spent 20 minutes on the phone and he was happy there. And with that, we pretty much pulled it off right in the nose there. So pulled it off. 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. Your website, say it real quick.
www.btcinc.net.
It is in the description. It is magic there. Kenneth, thank you so much for being on. Tip of the hat to you.
My pleasure, Bob. Great being here.
Great speaking with you too. And everyone else, make sure you check out more episodes of the 808 podcast. My name is Bob Clark. You all have a wonderful day. Now I'll talk to you later. Bye.